Go to Google and search JSON server and click on the first result. It will open npmjs.com/package/JSON server. Now scroll down, click on getting started. Next we are going to install JSON server in our computer. For that, copy this code. Also don't forget to add this -g. This will install JSON server globally in our computer, so we can use JSON server from any folder in our computer. Next, open command prompt and paste this code npm install JSON server and click enter. JSON server is now installed in our computer. Now we can run JSON server from any folder in this computer. Next we are going to create a new folder in our desktop. You can create this folder anywhere you like. The folder name is my server. You can give any name you like. Next, open this folder. Next, I am going to open this folder using VS Code. So click on open with code. Now create a new file inside this folder. The name of the file is db.json. This file will be our fake database. We are going to save all the data in this file. If we go back to the documentation, you can see we already created the db.json file. Next we need to add JSON data inside this file. Go back to VS Code. We are going to create a JSON object and add user as key and an empty array as value. All our user data will be added inside this array. So let's add some user data inside this array. You can see I added user data with ID, name, username and email. Here I added 5 JSON objects inside this array. Each object represents a single user. Each user also got a unique ID. Now go back to documentation. The next step is to start JSON server. For that we need to run this command. Copy this command and go to VS Code. Open a new terminal. Now paste that command. If you are not using VS Code, you can do this from command prompt. We need to change the directory, so type cd. Go to the folder where we created db.json and copy the address. Now go back to command prompt and paste this address and click enter. Next, paste the command. If you are using VS Code, you don't have to do all this step. The inbuilt terminal will open directly inside our folder. Now press enter. This will start our fake server. You can see the user REST API is already created. Copy this link and go back to the browser and open that link. You can see we are getting all the data from the user array. If you want only single user, you can use this ID to get the user. Add the ID to the end of the URL and you will get the single user. If you add 2 and make a GET request, you will get the second user. Now go to the documentation and scroll down. You can see all the routes here. We already used the first 2 GET requests. There is also post, put, patch and delete request. Only type of request that can be made from a browser is GET request. You cannot call other request from browser. You cannot make a post, put or patch, delete request from a browser. So we need a special tool for making all these requests. Before that, I am going to show you how to change this port. Sometimes this port was already used by other application, so we need to change the port. First, stop this server by clicking Ctrl+C. Then we need to restart the server using the same command, json-server watch db.json. But this time we also need to add the port number with this command. Here I am adding port 3004 and press enter. Now you can see our port number is now changed. It is now 3004. Now change the port number to 3004. You can see now it's working in 3004. To make any other request, we need this software. The name of the software is Postman. You need to install this Postman in your computer. I already installed Postman. This is a free software. There are also other tools like Postman, but Postman is the most popular one. First I am going to make a delete request. Let's copy this URL. I am going to delete user with ID 2. Go back to Postman and paste the URL. Add the ID at the end of the URL and click send. You can see the response code 200. That means the request is successful. So go back to our db.json. You can see the ID 2 was missing. It was deleted by our request. Now I am going to make a get request to get all the data from the server. You can see after deleting the second user, we got 3 users left. Now I am going to add a new user. For that I am going to use post request. Now remove the ID from the URL. Next we need to send the user data inside the body. Select a row from the options. Also the type of the data is JSON. Now add the new user. We don't have to add the ID. ID will be automatically created by json-server. Now make the post request by clicking send button. As a response, you will get the new user. Response code is 201. That means new data is successfully created. I am going to make get all request again. You can see in the response there is a new user. ID of the new user is 5. That ID was automatically created by our JSON server. Next I am going to update this user. For that I am going to use patch request. We need to add the ID to the end of this URL. Here I am going to update the 5th ID. I am going to change the name. Now send the updated data by clicking send. You can see from the response the name is updated. Now send the get request again. You can see the name of the 5th user is now changed. We tested few routes. There are other features like filter which can be used to filter the result. Also there is pagination. Also you can sort the result. You can read this documentation and try out all these features. It is very easy to create a fake server using JSON server. Within minutes you can create a full fake backend.